Just saying good afternoon from Trinidad and Tobago.
Oh,
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon. How are you?
I'm good. How are you doing today?
Okay, here we go.
There we
Yeah.
are. Good afternoon.
Lovely meeting you people who I chatted with on the Lambda, but
Mhm.
for the first time, really. Thank you.
Awesome. So glad you could join us.
welcome. Also, folks, this is Jackie. I've put a link in the chat to a PDF version of the slides that I'll have on screen today. So you don't have to worry about taking notes or getting left behind. Also, at the end of the PDF, I've thrown a writing prompt. If we have time, we can do a prompt. If not, you'll have it in case you want to do it later. But feel free to download it from the chat box. All right, it looks like we are at 5 after. Do you mind if we begin, lady?
Yeah, go ahead, get started.
Awesome. Hello, everyone. Thank you so much for taking your time to spend some time with us today. This is Wednesdays on the Stoop. I'm Jacqueline Goldfinger. Today, we're going to talk a little bit about getting unstuck. Because I don't know about you, but in the new year, I made all kinds of writing promises to myself, and I have failed to meet them. So I know that sometimes it's getting started on something that's hard. Sometimes we hit a little bit of writer's block. So we're here today to help you meet those challenges and move forward with your writing. So today I'm going to share some strategies on how you can get unstuck. As I said, everything I'm showing you is in the PDF. So you're welcome to take notes, but you'll also have it there. And then I'd love to hear from you what useful strategies y'all have found to get unstuck. And if we have time, we can do a writing prompt. And if not, you can take it home with you and have it in your back pocket in case you ever need it. So first we'll do some introductions. Feel free to say your name and what type of writing you do. You're also welcome to share your pronouns, land acknowledgement, accessibility needs, a fun fact. If there's something else you want to share, please feel free. And what I'm going to do so that it is not mass chaos is I will say your name when it's your turn. And if I mispronounce something, please just tell me. I definitely want to get all your names right. So my name is Jacqueline Goldfinger. Everybody calls me Jackie. I'm primarily a playwright, but I also write librettos for operas and musicals, and I also write books on writing. My pronouns are she, they. I'm coming to you from the traditional lands of the Lenni Lenape, now called Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. All my accessibility needs are met. And my fun fact is that when I got the email to do this, not only did I want to do it because Blue Stoop is awesome and Blue Stoop writers are phenomenal, but also because it means I could have a legitimate reason to hire a babysitter to watch my children, and I got to go somewhere else. So that's my fun fact for the day. All right, I want to be able to see all of your beautiful faces. Let's start with Rachel. You're the first on my screen. Would you like to introduce yourself? Rachel, are you there? We can't hear you. If you are, you may have to click.
Yeah, sorry, it took me a second. I think I was opening up your PDF, and I did not quite realize that I was not still on the screen because I was looking at the PDF and it looked exactly the same.
Yeah.
Anyway.
No worries. Not at all. We're glad to have you.
Don't make me go first. Okay, so I am a nonfiction writer, and I also do some academic writing, which is also very easy to get stuck with, stuck on. My pronouns are she, her, hers. My land acknowledgement is the same as yours, as I am also in Philadelphia. My accessibility needs are met, and I don't I don't have any fun facts.
Well, we're just glad that you're here, Rachel.
Okay.
It's great to see you.
I guess my fun fact will be that I moved actually within the last month or so, and I used to always have feline work companions in my old space, but they don't really like my new space here at my desk
Oh.
anymore. So I don't think you're going to be getting any of those kinds of visitors. So I hope that, you know, maybe somebody else has some pets who are more outgoing.
Awesome. Thank you, Rachel.
Sure.
Lisa, are you there? There you are.
Hi, sorry. I didn't
Okay.
realize I was off.
Welcome. Can you
Hey.
tell us a little bit about yourself?
Yeah, so currently writing on a play. I'm currently in Ohio, Cleveland area.
Awesome.
And fun fact is that I actually completed another draft of this play today, which is, today, which is
Great.
Thank you. Very exciting because this is a year and a half into the process. So,
Wow. Yeah. That's awesome. Welcome and congratulations.
Thanks.
So I have one question for our fabulous Blue Stoop moderator. Their names are not showing up. Is that because I'm screen sharing?
Are you talking about in the
Left-hand corner.
I'm not sure why they're not showing up. Are you able to see the participant list? Like down at the bottom, you know how it says like chat, and then to the left it should say participants.
Yeah.
If you click that, I think you'll be able to see everyone's names that way.
Okay. Cool. Well, there we go. Thank you. I apologize. That's something I'd never come up against before. All right. Valerie, go for it.
I'm she, her, Valerie. I also live in Philadelphia. I write short stories and plays primarily. I'm working on a second draft of a play, which I hope to have finished by Monday. So I'm not quite where you are, but I'm getting there. I think it was Laura, or I can't remember your name now. Who just said that she had finished one. Anyway, Lisa.
Lisa.
Right. Okay. That's it.
Awesome.
Short.
Welcome. Perfect. Welcome, Valerie. Josephine, go for it.
Hi, my name is Josephine. I primarily do fiction writing. I've had a novel that I've been working on for a very long time without making a lot of headway. I live in West Philly. A fun fact about me is that I have a very large statue of a vulture wrapped in a moving blanket on my floor that I have to hang.
That is awesome. I like that fun fact. Welcome, Josephine. Elisa.
Hi, I'm also in Philadelphia. She, her pronouns. Write fiction and a little bit of poetry. Fun fact to be, I'm currently in week 4 of doing The Artist's Way, which I'm sure some people are familiar with. So that's me.
Welcome. Amy Beth.
Hi, I'm Amy Beth, she, her. I'm outside of Philly. I've written nonfiction for children, fiction for adults, and poetry. And I've been focusing on poetry this year.
Awesome. Welcome. Afibo.
Okay, I have been in the theater for a number of years. You can see by my gray hairs, maybe. And
Awesome.
I write plays, I direct plays, I write music for plays, I write lyrics and compose music.
Awesome.
And I saw this notice on Lambda and thought it would be interesting to join you all and see what's happening. I am out in Trinidad and Tobago, out in the Caribbean. Maybe that's a fun fact. I'm out in the
Yes.
Caribbean. It's now about 34 degrees here. Lovely sunshine, lovely breezes.
Oh,
And looking to see what will happen this evening. Thank you.
thank you. We're so glad to have you. And now we're all going to be jealous the rest of the session. Welcome. All right, Joe, go for it.
Hi, I'm Joe, she, her. I'm zooming in from Philadelphia. And my fun fact, I'm a beginning playwright. My fun fact is I started my career in theater as a stage manager, and then I left for 25 years, and now I'm crawling back to find some life in myself, I guess.
I love that. Welcome back. We're glad to have you. Ms. Neal, who I haven't seen in person for over a year now.
Hi.
It's so good to see you, even
Good to see
virtually.
Hi, I'm Kanako. I'm she, her, and I live just outside of Philly. And I just started writing plays and fiction like a few years ago. My son is napping, so I'm not gonna be talking a lot. So, hi.
And Kanako, that's exactly one reason why I made sure to put the PDF in the comments, and I'll put it in there again if people need it. That
Thank
way,
you.
if anyone misses anything, you can go back and look at what we covered. And also, I mean, I have kids, right? We all know, all the moms know. Also, luckily, Blue Stoop is recording this, so they will have this as a digital download on their YouTube channel and website, if anyone would like that. Thank you, lady. It's good to see you. Carrie, go for it.
Hi, my name's Carrie. I'm a fiction writer, short story writer, and also working on a novel. And I'm in Philadelphia.
Welcome. Crystal.
Hello. Crystal, she, her. I live in South Philly. Accessibility needs are beyond met. This city is amazing. The fact that I could walk pretty much anywhere in about a half hour to 45 minutes, which kind of keeps me here.
Me too.
And the kind of writing I do, poetry, the most, short stories, script writing, but I'm also currently taking a fragmented fiction class, and that has been a lot of fun. So trying to hope to expand. It's also a part of me trying to shake the cobwebs and help my writer's block that the last year has really compounded. Fun fact is I'm named after a Dynasty character, Crystal Carrington.
Oh my God, Crystal, that's amazing. If my partner would allow, I would name all of our children after Dynasty characters. Like, that's just a good omen.
It's very lucky that my mom was young when she had me, and what's it called? Didn't meet my stepfather until like 2 years later. So he was able to like do that. I don't know if my dad would have went for that if he was around at that time.
That is a great fun fact. We're so glad to have you joining us. And just a reminder, in addition to these wonderful Wednesday classes where they have a writer come and share thoughts with you every Wednesday, they also have ongoing classes at Blue Stoop. So make sure to check those out because they are just fantastic. Stacia, go for it.
Sorry, I'm joining a bit late.
No problem.
Yeah, and also I really appreciate you pronouncing my name right. I pretty much get everything, so it's really nice that you got it right on the first try. My pronouns are she and her. I do not know. I think I'm on the line of the Susquehannock. I'm currently based in Pennsylvania and like near the border of PA and Maryland. No accessibility needs at this time. Fun fact, pre-pandemic, I traveled for about 9 months. And I thought I would be exhausted, but I'm now having sort of like endured the pandemic. I do feel like I'm very much ready to travel again. Yeah.
Awesome. Well, welcome. I'm glad you've stayed stationary long enough to come hang out with us today. Welcome, Stacia. Is there anyone I've missed? Got everybody?
I haven't gone.
Oh, Laura, I am so sorry. I don't know how I
okay.
did that. Please go.
Yes. Hi, I'm Laura. She, her pronouns. I am located near Philly. I'm in South Jersey, and I primarily write fiction, but I do enjoy poetry on occasion. And fun fact, I got to graduate college this year out of all years.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
That's awesome. Did you do the online ceremony?
Actually, I should correct myself because it's 2021 now. I graduated in 2020.
Yeah.
And my school was very briefly able to hold in-person ceremonies in the lull during the summer with social distance protocols and everything. So I did get to walk, which was extremely lucky of me.
That's wonderful. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Awesome. Now, did we hit everyone? Is there anyone else we missed? Cool. Awesome. So now I am going to word vomit on you for a little bit. Just a reminder, I did put the PDF in the chat box if you want to download it. I know some people prefer that. So we're talking a little bit about breaking writer's block strategies. Jose Rivera, and there should be an accent over the E. I apologize, I missed that earlier. But Jose Rivera says that writer's block is just your characters lying to themselves and to you. And so one of the strategies to think about when you hit writer's block is, do you really have writer's block, or are you trying to tell the character where to go rather than allowing them to tell their own story? What's the difference? The difference is, for example, let's say I've written a grant that I am going to do a bio play about Michelle Obama, right? I'm not, that would be awesome. But I'm doing a bio play about Michelle Obama, and she starts talking about personal issues, and I'm not interested in that. I've written this grant, I've outlined, I've decided that what I'm going to do is talk about her position and affluence in certain areas of policy. And then I get stuck. Well, what I make getting stuck is because I've created this character, but now I'm stifling them. I'm not allowing them to tell a story. Instead, I'm forcing a story on them. So while I do think outlining is really useful for some people, what Jose Rivera says is, do not allow that to stifle you in your creativity. The outline or the idea that you had before writing may simply have been the stepping stone that you needed to get into the story, but it may not be the story you need to write. Once you create the characters, they may tell you a different story that they are urgently needing to tell. So that's one thing to step back, think about, and reflect upon once you have writer's block. In terms of exercises, one of my favorite exercises to break writer's block is to write a list of what would not happen For example, I'm writing an adaptation of A Little Mermaid. And probably one of the things that would not happen is she would not catch fire under the sea, right? Sometimes creating a list of things that would not happen helps open you up to start thinking about things that would happen, or even opens you up to things that you would not expect to happen, but could be really exciting for your story, right? So write a list of what would not happen. Some people even take this to the next step and then write a scene or a monologue or a narrative of something that would definitely not happen. But in doing so, that reveals a new facet or moment of the character, and that facet or moment helps them jumpstart their writing again. So that's another option. One of the things that I do a lot is I give a few pages of my writing to a friend and ask what they think will come next. And then I write that even if I don't agree with it and see what shakes loose, right? So my husband is a lovely person and a terrible, terrible editor. He just does not, he's just a lovely person. Every time I give him something, what he assumes is going to happen is wrong. He also isn't able to guess the ending of movies. Like, it's a whole thing. Narrative is not his thing. But sometimes if I give him a scene and say what would happen next, and he tells me, and then I go ahead and write it anyway. And for most of these writing exercises, I limit myself. Like, I don't want to waste huge amounts of time, but, limit myself to 5 pages or 10 pages or whatever it is. I know novelists who sometimes limit it to 1 page, right? That helps them. But it just shakes up my thinking about this character and makes me think, why would he think this is going to end that way? What signals am I putting out that signals this is the way the narrative is going? And that can be useful to kind of go, oh, I didn't realize this person likes X, not Y. And that's really what's motivating them, right? So that can be a useful exercise. I have a number of friends who are successful writers who like to immerse themselves in an entirely different form of art for a few days. Go to a film festival, when you won't catch something and die. Right? Asterisks, small grain of salt. But go to, the Philly Museum of Art and immerse yourself for a day. Give yourself space. Just like a real human being, characters need time to reflect and breathe and grow, and it just takes time. So sometimes you just need to give them that time. Sometimes the constant thinking and overthinking gets you stuck because they're not ready to grow yet. Reminds me of trying to potty train kids. The parents out there will probably get this most deeply, right? No matter how much you want them to poop in the hole, they're not going to do it until they're ready. And sometimes our characters are like that. Sometimes our characters just need a little more time in our subconscious to mature and grow before they're ready to tell the next part of their story. So immersing yourself in another art form allows you to still engage with art and still think about things, but not constantly putting your character on the spot or overthinking them. One exercise that's a favorite of my students is when they have writer's block, I tell them to select a favorite line. And that can be from your movie, a play, a book, a comic, whatever. And make that line the beginning of a scene or chapter and begin writing from there without worrying about what you've previously written, right? Sometimes just throwing in something unexpected can really help shake up your writing. Does anyone have questions about any of these before I move on to strategies to help you start writing? Anyone? Bueller? Cool. All right. So getting started writing. Again, I have some friends who like to take the first line from their favorite book or play and begin their new scene or their first scene with that. I think it just gives them confidence, you know, like someone else did really well with this. Maybe I won't suck, right? Because sometimes the hardest thing is breaking ground on that big blank first page. And this way you can break ground with something inspirational and exciting that gets you going rather than just staring at the blank page. One of my favorite things to do is engage with social media on these type of things. I post on social media that I need 2 characters and a conflict. And then from that list of suggestions, I pick 1 or more and write that scene or moment. That is a fun one. First of all, because people come up with some really off the wall things. I mean, if you just want to laugh, post that, whether or not you're writing something new. But also it gets you out of, it helps you make sure that you're taking your blinders off, that you're looking at the bigger world and bigger stories and bigger conflicts. Because I don't know if y'all are anything like me, but for me, I can get so lost and caught up in my head and myself that anytime I can find a way to break through that and take the blinders off and see the bigger world, it helps me move forward. So that's an option. Another thing you could do to get started writing is to select a random object from a friend's house, write a monologue as to why this would be a character's favorite object. The character may or may not resemble that friend. And then write a scene of conflict where that object is being claimed or stolen by someone else. Whatever the internal need for that character to have the object is a seed of a new story. Object work has become more and more popular over the years, at least with my students. I don't know if that's because we just live in a world that's more tactile and more visual or what it is. But it's really cool and because it really allows us, especially in theater, and I'm sure it helps in other types of writing as well, but in theater, we have to make everything visual because people are coming to the stage to watch it. So by making objects hold importance, then that helps us tell the story better. So starting with objects of importance can be useful, right? And then later you may find different uses for that object. For example, and this is a hack example because it's, you know, supposed to illustrate a point. That illustrates the point well. In theater, right, if you have a story of a mother and daughter and the mother passed away and the daughter's dealing with her grief at the beginning of the play, then maybe the mother passed on a locket. And at first it hurts the daughter so much to see the locket in her grief that she puts the locket in a drawer, right? Then I don't need a big expositional monologue about the locket. We go, oh, she put it in the drawer. She can't handle seeing it. Then by the middle of the play, perhaps the character can take the locket out of the drawer and hang it on the mirror so she sees it every day. We know via the object that character is healing, right? Because she can now bear to see the locket. And then perhaps at the end of the play, when she's processed her mother's death and is ready to move on, she takes her locket off the bureau and puts it on and walks off stage. Then we know that character has processed that grief and is moving on without needing a ton of exposition on stage. So sometimes starting with objects and understanding their importance in people's lives helps you build those types of storytelling moments that become very visual on stage. And in narrative writing, just in a different way. Does anyone have questions about the getting started strategies? Let's see. Okay. Cool. So my next question is, what are your favorite strategies? What are some of the things that y'all do to get either unstuck or to help you start a new work?
Could I ask
Oh, please go for it, Valerie.
Question just about your social media. I put it on the chat, but maybe it didn't go through.
Oh, I'm sorry. I missed that.
It doesn't matter. What social media do you usually use?
I like to use either Twitter or Facebook because it allows people to give you a longer response. Like Instagram, the responses are a little weird, but especially Facebook because there's no character limit.
Right.
People give you, and sometimes people even write you little stories, which you may or may not use, but oh my God, are they funny?
Yeah.
And fun. Sometimes, one time only once, I unfriended someone because their story was so disturbing. I'm like, I was already lukewarm on you and now I think you're a serial killer. Unfriend. But in general, anything that allows them space. So Facebook may be the best just because it allows the most space. Right. But I've definitely seen people do it on Twitter. Another thing people like to do on Twitter, because there is a limit, is they'll say, I have a character who's going through a divorce. What should he say to his ex as she walks out of the lawyer's office and takes his house? And then people do all these little pithy, quick responses. Right. Which he may or may not use in the dialogue, but kind of gets them going. Right. So usually if you have those kind of like short questions, Twitter is best for that. And then Facebook's good for the longer ones.
Thanks.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Other questions or other favorite strategies?
I have a strategy. I type things into my phone because it's a messy space anyway. It's hard to write well on your phone, so it takes all the pressure off.
That's a great idea. Do you use like the Notes app or do you send yourself emails?
I usually use the Notes app.
That's great. I know that Robert Rodriguez, who's a filmmaker who writes and directs his own movies, he did Alita, he did Spy Kids, he says the same thing, Amy Beth. He says, because the Notes app allows you to have a million little notes, anytime he has an idea, he puts it on a separate note. And then when he doesn't know what to write, he goes back to his Notes app. That's great. Thank you. Go for it.
One that I've heard from Charles Baxter, the novelist, and he says he gets one theme or one storyline, and then he puts one that's completely, could be contradictory to that or a completely different one. And so you put these two, characters or two, storylines together, and you try to figure out how they could possibly work, how they could work as a complete story.
That's awesome. I love that idea. Thank you. Afibo, you had your hand raised. Go for it, sir.
I find that everything has a long gestation period. Everything takes a long while to mature within me before I can express it.
Mm.
And therefore, I tend to put everything to the back of my head, not to the front. It's behind there somewhere, nesting quietly and doing its own growing while I go off doing something completely different. As you had said earlier, I might go to the movies, I might go to the museum, I might go watch a friend's play, I might read something new. Above all, I will have a drink or two.
Yes.
And that always helps. And something in between there, something kicks. And I make sure then that I have my phone with me wherever I am, that I can find some very still time to jot quickly in these notes what it is I'm hearing, what is turning over inside there, and do it comprehensively enough that I do not forget the idea. And when I get back to my study or wherever I'm working, I then quickly get to my computer and jot things in a more comprehensive manner. That works for me, whether it's a new play I'm working with, or whether it's some character who doesn't seem to want to be what he or she wants to be at the time, and it becomes a bit troublesome. I remember once I was working on a play called Capital Death, and I was looking at this priest who I'm seeing this priest in my mind's eye, and my creative imagination is doing all kinds of things with him, but he just is not concrete enough. So I put him here, and I ignore him. You don't exist. I put him here, and I go about my business. And one day I'm driving down the street, and this priest steps out with a dirty gown, steps out from the church. His gown is dirty, and he's sweeping the churchyard. And I see my priest. I see what is possible with him. And I stopped the car, pulled my phone out, and began crafting that. Whatever the priest was doing in my play, he began doing it even more. And that sort of unlocked it for me. But these are the strategies I work with. They're already non-strategies, but they help me too.
That's beautiful. What a great story. He stepped out, and then that's what became. That is lovely. It reminds me of a story Paula Vogel tells about Indecent. She started her play, which was nominated for the Pulitzer 2 years ago, called Indecent. She started it 30 years before. And she knew that the scene started with these two the scene ended with these two characters dancing. She didn't know why, and she wrestled with it, and she put it away. 30 years later, she saw two women dancing on the street of New York and knew what her play was. It's wild how our imaginations work. Thank you for sharing that. Thank you. Josephine, you have your hand raised.
Yeah. I often find that when I'm working on something, I'll get like very stuck on a particular sentence, and I like find it hard. Like I'll be like, it is. So something that I will do is basically like drown myself in sensory overload. Like I'll listen to a podcast and have a YouTube video going while I'm working, because basically the effort to not pay attention to those takes some of, I don't know it, but I find it sometimes helpful to like distract myself enough that I'm not obsessing over each particular sentence and can kind of move forward a little bit.
That's amazing. And there's actually, thank you so much for sharing that, because that reminds me of something. There's one, I have a friend who does this thing where she puts her pen down when she gets stuck, just like you. Like your sensory overload is the sound. I love that with YouTube and podcasts and such. Her thing is that she writes whatever words come out of her pen, and she doesn't lift her pen up, except when she needs to move the lines on the paper. And somehow the sense of like not lifting the pen up does something for her that connects all of the ideas. And she's like, it's almost like, 'cause I'm focusing on not picking up the pen, other things can come out because I'm not too focused. It's fascinating how our minds work, isn't it? Also, for anyone who's interested, oh, yes. Just one thing, and then we'll chat. I just read this great book that just got published out of England, so I think it may still be in hardback, called The Science of Storytelling. And it is a pop culture book written by Will Storr, Storr. He's a science reporter from The Guardian, and he interviewed all of these neurologists and storytellers. And he breaks down why the most popular stories are popular, given how our brains have evolved in certain circumstances, and why certain storytelling styles are popular in certain areas of the world, given how evolution has worked in those part of the world. It's fascinating. It's called The Science of Storytelling. I think it may only be in hardback now, but it should be in softback soon. I'm just recommending that to everyone now. That's what I'm doing. All right, Carrie, Crystal, go for it.
I take no credit. This is something I saw on a YouTube video. But this person was just saying that sometimes our writer's block is because we're so focused on it being a finished product already, regardless of it being the first draft. to give yourself permission to write crap, you know. And even if you need to step away from the story you're currently working on and then just kind of word vomit somewhere else for a little bit, which I actually did last week as I was trying to get a few more pages done, and I couldn't, and it was driving me nuts. So I just went and wrote a completely different story, and it's not great. It's just me talking about a dream that I had, but it shook something loose where I was able to go back and add some more pages.
That's fantastic. Yeah, there's also like I love that writing exercise. Thank you for sharing. There's also intentionally bad writing. And it's so funny because some people say, and this is like literary myth, so I can't guarantee it, but some people say that's how Elmore Leonard developed his style, because his style is very short and staccato. That he loved all these old like pulp novels and he was trying to write like them, but he's a good writer. So what came out was like a good version of the bad pulp novel writing, which I think is fascinating. Again, literary myth. I don't know if it's true. But yes, and also remembering that first drafts is so helpful. Like this is, I like to tell playwrights, it's like your first day of rehearsal, right? If you're an actor or director, the first day of rehearsal, you make big choices and they're usually wrong. But if you don't make the wrong choice, you'll never make the right choice, because you'll never get through the bad to the good, right? So I also agree. Thank you for bringing that up, Crystal, that keeping that in mind, if you got to get through the bad to get to the good, can be really useful. Any other questions or things? Yes, please go for it.
Back with your thought of the distractions, doing a physical activity for me sometimes is like a double on that, with either a really long run or something that's kind of a monotonous, or a bike ride. I shouldn't say I can't do a really long run, more of a bike ride or a drive. But the bike riding can be especially nice because it gives me the endorphin thing, as well as you're focused on, whatever you're focused on while you're doing something else, kind of like the driving. But so there's something that happens that mind, I don't know, unshake sometimes.
That's awesome. Thank you for reminding us of that. You, Lisa, and Oscar Wilde would be besties in terms of strategy, because he always said that golf was a good walk spoiled, because he wrote so much of his work in his head on walks and then came home and put it on paper. That's great. Other strategies or questions people have? I do have a writing prompt for us. Would people, we don't really have enough time to like write and share, but would people like to spend the next few minutes doing a writing prompt, just some quiet writing time? Yeah. And if you're not interested, that's okay. Feel free to leave. Our feelings will not be hurt. And if you think of another question, please feel free to shout it out or put it in the chat box. I'll open my chat box so I can see it. But otherwise, let's give ourselves some free writing time. So this is a prompt, a picture prompt. You can select a picture on the left to use for the following prompt. Take a few moments to first notice the characters' expressions, movements, motions, location, and other details. Now write a scene, or, I'm used to saying scene because I'm a playwright, but a poem, a piece of narrative, where one reveals an embarrassing secret to the other. Think about, why must the character reveal this secret now? What force is pushing them to take this uncomfortable action? And how will the other person respond and then choose to act? By the end of this, you'll have a potent story seed with a built-in potential conflict and main characters. So we could just write together for the next 10 minutes. And then a couple minutes before the end of the hour, I'll ask if anyone had any questions or anything else comes up for us. Feel free to leave your camera on, turn it off, whatever. I'll check back in about 10 minutes. All right, y'all, we have about 1 minute left. You know, go ahead and find a good stopping place. You don't have to finish or wrap anything up. Just a nice stopping place for now. And make sure to list any additional ideas you had so you can use them later. All right, we're going to wrap up quickly. Don't forget that Blue Stoop has ongoing classes as well as these wonderful Wednesday series. Next Wednesday's subject is with Zach Ozma, who will be talking about writing with found images. See, and we gave you found images, so you've already started thinking about it. Can roll right into next week. That's how we do it at the Stoop. I like to thank everyone who has made this possible. It's been a lovely afternoon. If you want to get in touch or learn more about my work, go to my website, which is just www.jacquelinegoldfinger.com. I also have a book you can check out called Playwriting with Purpose, a guide and workbook for new playwrights. And I do individual coaching through the Plays in Progress series. But regardless, I hope that you will check out more Blue Stoop and Blue Stoop programming. They provide an exceptional experience for writers in Philadelphia. We would not be half the literary city that we are without them. Any other questions as we wrap up in literally the last 30 seconds? Awesome. Have a great rest of your week, y'all. Thanks for tuning in.
Thank you. Have a great day.